Question number 5, assignment 7. It says copy and complete the following table for y is equal to 2x minus 2. So that's a linear equation. It's a linear equation because the maximum exponent here is 1 for x, 2x raised to the power of 1. So that's a linear equation. And it says we're going to complete the table and draw the graph. So we're going to get a straight line graph. So here is an example like it. Copy and complete the following table for y is equal to 3x minus 1. And here are the x values, the domain. And it says for part B to draw the graph. So what we need to do is to complete this table by substituting the x values, each one of them individually, into the x place in the y equation, in the linear equation, and solve for y, and then to complete the ordered pairs, and then to plot and to draw the graph. We're going to get a straight line. So in order to substitute the x values into the equation, we have to write a template of the equation. And in the place of x, we're going to put a bracket. So we're going to have 3, open, close bracket. That's where we're going to substitute the x values, minus 1 equal. So starting with -3, we're going to substitute -3 into the place of x here. So we have 3 times -3 minus 1. 3 times -3 is -9. And -9 minus 1, that will give us a -10. Because -9 means 9 units towards the left. -1 means 1 unit towards the left. So 9 units towards the left and 1 unit towards the left. That's 10 units towards left. A negative and a negative is a negative. So -10 for -3. And -2, we've got to do the same thing for -2. Substitute -2 into the place of x. And then we'll see 3 times -2 will give us -6. And -6 and a -1 will give us a -7. Now, if you look closely, remember the gradient is 3. So each time x increases by 1, the y increases by 3. And you can see it happening here. A -3 to -2, that's an increase of 1 on the part of x. And on the part of y, supposed to have an increase of 3, which is -10, plus 3 is -7. So we're going to substitute -1. So -2 to -1, that's an increase of 1. So an increase of 3 on the y would be -7 plus 3. That's supposed to give us -4. So if we substitute -1 here, we're supposed to get -4 or answer. -3 times -1 is -3, and a -3 and a -1 is a -4. You can actually see that the gradient is being reflected as x is increasing by 1. Again, -1 to 0 is an increase of 1 by x. So y is supposed to increase by 3 also. -4 plus 3, that will give us -1. So I'm certain if we substitute 0 and we solve for x, for y, we're supposed to get -1. 3 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 1 is -1. Likewise, from 0 to 1, that's an increase of 1. Y is supposed to increase by 3. And -1 plus 3 is 2. So I'm certain if we substitute 1 here, we're supposed to get 2 for y. 3 ones are 3. 3 minus 1 will give us 2. Again, from 1 to 2, that's an increase of 1 by x. Y is supposed to increase by 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. So I'm certain we're going to get 5 when we substitute 2. Let's prove it. 3 2s are 6. And 6 minus 1 will give us 5. So you can actually see the definition of the gradient is being reflected as we are completing the table of values because we are increasing x by 1. And 2 to 3, that's an increase of 1 by x. So y is supposed to increase by 3. 5 plus 3 will give us 8. Let us prove it. Substitute 3. 3 3s are 9. And 9 take away 1 will give us now we have complete our ordered pairs by substituting into this template. X individually, so that's the Y values, that's the range, -10 to 8. So now we're going to our X and Y axis to plot these points, -3 on the X and -10 on the Y. So here we have our X and Y axis up and ready. It's called a Cartesian plane. So now we are ready to plot the points. So here's our supply of points. The first point has coordinates -3 on the X and -10 on the Y. So if we was to look for -3 on the X, here it is, and then come down to -10 on the Y, and this will allow us to plot our first point. Let's zoom in a bit to get an accurate plot. -3 on the X and -10 on the Y, and here it is. -2 on the X and -7 on the Y. -2 on the X and -7 on the Y. Let's get our supply of points. So also look for -2 on the X and come down to get -7 on the Y. -7 is between 6 and 8. So we have to stay on -2 for the X and come down to -7 on the Y. And that will bring us right here. So that's -6, and then we are going to -7, right between -6 and -8. The next point is -1 on the X and -4 on the Y. -1 on the X, go to our supply of points. And let's get -1 on the X. Here's -1 right there. And we have to come down to -4 on the Y, which brings us right here. Right. Now we're going on to 0 on the X and -1 on the Y. 0 on the X, that's the Y-axis. On the Y-axis, X is 0. So here it is, 0 on the X. On the Y-axis, X is 0. Right on the Y-axis, X is 0. And we're supposed to go down to -1. -1 is between 0 and -2. Right there. One on the X and 2 on the Y. So we're on the right side of 0 now. And we're above the X-axis, +2 on the Y. So we go 1 on the X. That's 1 on the X, and we come up to 2 on the Y. There it is. Likewise, 2 on the X, and we have to go up to 5 on the Y. So first, let's look for positive 2 on the X, that's on the right side of 0. 2 on the X, right here. And we have to go up to 5 on the Y, which is between 4 and 6. And 3 on the X, and go up to 8 on the Y, so we can use this last point. 3 on the X, and go up to meet 8 on the Y. So here we have our points plotted. So now we're going to get a straight line. As you can see, the points are more or less aligned as a straight line. Oh, there's a little curve there. There seems to be a little error. So let us check it out. The interval is 2. Skip 1, 2. Skip 1, 4. Skip 1, 6. Skip 1, 8. Skip 1, 10. So 10 supposed to be negative 10, supposed to be here. As we say, an error is a learning opportunity. Supposed to get a straight line. So it's supposed to bring up 10 here. Negative 10. And then this point is negative 3, negative 10. So this point is supposed to be here to give us our straight line. And we can go here to our insert shapes, get a straight line, and start here. And join the points with a straight line, and format this line to make it more visible and to color code it so that it can be more apparent. And here you have it, plotting points and joining the points to get a graph, a straight line graph.